Hey, I'm Tatiana Graham, physiotherapist, yoga teacher, runner, mom of 3, and your host for the Move with Ease podcast. This podcast is an extension of everything I'm passionate about: preventative health, unlocking your potential, and really getting to know yourself on such a deep level that it ripples out into every aspect of your life. Because here's what I believe. When you truly understand your inner world, your body, your mind, your patterns, your truth, everything in your outer world shifts. You move differently, you show up differently, you thrive differently, and that's what we're going to explore together on this podcast. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Move with Ease podcast. Today's episode is a powerful one, and honestly, one that could change the way you think about your health, because today we're not talking about performance, pace, or even injury. We're talking about what happens when we ignore our bodies for too long, and what an ICU doctor wishes you knew before it's too late. My guest today is Dr. Kwadwo Kyeremanteng. He's an ICU physician here in Ottawa, a leader in critical care, and the author of Prevention Over Prescription. I love that title. He's the host of the Quadcast, and he shares conversations around health, mindset, and living well. But what makes his voice so important is that he sees what most of us never want to experience. He sees the end stage. He sees what happens when years of stress, disconnection, burnout, and neglect finally catch up with the body. And instead of just treating illness, he's become a powerful advocate for prevention, for taking ownership of your health before something breaks down. And I think this conversation is such a beautiful bridge because in my world, we talk about tuning into the body, building strength, creating awareness. And in his world, he sees what happens when that connection is lost. So today we're going to go there. We're going to talk about what actually brings people to the ICU, what gets missed along the way, and most importantly, what you can do right now, you, the listener, can stay out of it. Dr. Kwadwo, I'm so grateful you're here. Let's start with your story. How did you end up in the ICU world?
Well, first of all, Tatiana, I have rarely seen somebody that could line up this amount of wicked energy and enthusiasm as our team is. So, number one, thanks for having me. Number two, keep up the juice. This is contagious. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I know we've had some challenges lining it up, but let's go. Well, this is going to be.
I'm so grateful you're here.
So, how did I end up in ICU? I'm going to try and give the condensed story. I knew I wanted to be in medicine early in my life because I had pretty bad childhood asthma, and my pediatrician was my hero.
Okay.
And I wanted to be able to take away suffering like he did from myself and my family. And long story short, wasn't sure the best route. I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician, but I found it too, like it didn't line up. Mm-hmm. And then I did a rotation in ICU in Calgary forever ago. And the second I walked in the ICU, I knew this was my home. I knew it. There was a trauma that came in. There were patients getting procedures like tracheostomy, central lines, intubation, all these things. And we were working as a team. We were thinking as a team. We were having to think outside the box at times. When I left that 2-week rotation, it was never more clear in terms of my path. And I decided to do internal medicine, number one, because I thought it was the best training for intensive care. And then number two, is the quickest way to become an intensivist. So then I did my path that way. Also did some palliative care training during that time. And I feel like I have one of the best jobs in the world. I feel blessed to do what I do. It is a true gift to be able to work in that environment and be there for patients when they're in the most vulnerable time. I truly love my job.
And I can see that you just exude that energy. I heard something on one of your recent podcasts that what drew you to ICU was sort of that, like that fast pace, got to be creative with solutions. And then you said something that really struck a chord, was that it's changed a little bit and that you're seeing sort of a repeated pattern in ICUs. Can you speak to that a little bit? It's not so much the random trauma anymore, though there's probably still some of that, but there's a pattern that you're seeing. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and it's a good question. And I think a lot of this happened during the pandemic for me, where this time was unbelievably challenging and scary, and you wanted to be able to navigate your patients and their families through this unbelievably challenging time. And we saw this clear link with metabolic syndrome. So metabolic syndrome being obesity, type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And when you saw that link, and then as I was doing these podcasts, you realize that we could actually treat this, reverse people's metabolic syndromes, reverse their pre-diabetes or diabetes through diet, exercise. And so it was a big aha moment for me, was like, holy cow. When I
Mm.
see when I see a COVID patient and they are in ICU for weeks at times, well, if they're landing in ICU, they're away
Yeah.
from their families, the impact it's having on their family, the cost, about 50 grand per ICU admission when at that time. And that
Hmm.
was my area of research, was how cost efficiency and how to make our dollar go further in healthcare. Then there was this big aha moment, like if we prevent them from landing in a hospital in the first place, holy cow, it's not only are you reducing their suffering that they're experiencing, but
Yeah.
what the family's experiencing, that 50 plus K that is costing the system, you're reducing their risk not only of that infection, but also uh, heart disease, stroke, mental health issues, cancer, fertility. All these things get better if we focus on that preventative health side. So
Yeah.
that just was like a tsunami of passion that just hit
Yeah.
me. It's like, okay, now we're clear on that vision, dog. Let's go. Let's talk about the simple and efficient ways to restore your health. Because I
Yeah.
think you're active on social. You know how complicated we make things.
Yeah.
But I'm not even sure I'm answering the original question. But oh yeah, the original question, seeing what we see. And like, so when you have that light now, when you see like, hey, how many people are admitted to hospitals that are associated with preventable disease or lifestyle modifications, from whether it's smoking, whether it is uh, the obesity, the lack of inactivity or the lack of activity. And now it's become more and more clear and abundant that this is a very central theme for what we see in ICU. Just to be clear, we also see a ton of stuff that are out of your control: car accidents,
Yep.
cancer diagnosis that are nothing to do with your lifestyle. But
Yep.
a lot of patients we see have landed there because of lifestyle choices.
And just to piggyback on the trauma part, we can't control, right? If you're in a car accident or something happens, but if you're fit and healthy and strong, you talk about this a lot too. There's that correlation with even just muscle mass and coming out of the ICU being able to walk. It's
Uh,
full circle.
100%. I'm glad Tatiana, you brought that up, because that's just something that I'm pretty passionate about, especially after seeing. I like to talk about this one case where we had a 77-year-old guy that had a cardiac arrest, so died for a period of time.
Wow.
And the typical scenario when you're that age and you had a cardiac arrest is that you die, you don't leave hospital, or you end up in long-term care. But the difference with this guy was that he hits the gym 5 days a week.
Oh,
So
cool.
he had that foundation, not only physical foundation, but the mental foundation. And this guy was so resilient. He was one of the few patients to this day that I've seen walk while on life support. And now he's at home with his family. And if it wasn't for that foundation of being strong, going to the gym on a regular basis, I could promise you that he wouldn't be home now. And
Wow.
and so that's the magic of being strong, putting on that lean muscle. I remember a similar case where a guy, he was someone that took fitness very seriously and ended up with some lung issues. And despite being on high levels of oxygen, insisted on doing his exercises and taking his protein shakes. And he also was one of those few that came out not losing a bunch of lean muscle, actually was quite functional after leaving the ICU and
Hmm.
hospital. So this is the power of being strong, putting on that lean muscle. And so, uh, yeah, there's two ends of that coin: preventing you from landing in hospital, but if you do land in hospital, much better outcomes.
Yeah, that's incredible. And when I was entering the online world and entering in sort of coaching space, I am a physical therapist by background, but during COVID, actually, similar to you, saw this pattern and people actually wanted to get better, but didn't know what to do on their own. So I started guiding them online and it actually got them better faster. So that's what drove me to be like, okay, I think this is a better container, right? Like a method. And the first couple of coaches that helped me was like, nobody wants to buy a solution to a problem they don't have yet. because I was trying to sell preventative health, right?
Mm.
And I think that we are at a point, though, especially in the climate that we're in here in Ontario and Canada, that we don't really have a choice anymore. It's not a nice to have, it's a necessity. Can you speak to that from the lens of like your what you see every day and in your world?
I love the fact that you highlighted this because you're dead on. We are a very strange system right now. I'm not one to be dramatic, but this is the worst state seen in my career where the wait times for ORs in terms of elective ORs, the emergency room wait times, the lack of primary care access, the financial constraints that a lot of hospitals in Ontario or at least are having right now. It's a bad time. And then we have the silver tsunami coming, where in other words, we have our baby boomer population getting of the age where they're going to be reliant on acute care hospital more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, my next book that will be coming out in late spring is about some of this stuff. Like, what are some of the solutions here? But
Mm.
the central tenet for a lot of this is how do we become less reliant on acute care? What can we do to take that agency and avoid landing in hospital? And I think
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Tatiana, but I've never seen more people wanting to take control of their health like they have in recent times. Like I agree with you that people know now that this needs to be taken seriously. And as I said, if you are provided with the tools to prevent you from landing in the hospital, it will make a difference. I see it. Not to be too repetitive, like you don't see that many super healthy people have bad outcomes. They
Mm.
could still obviously get all those bad diagnoses, but they're the ones that get less complications, that leave hospital earlier, etc. So
Yeah.
I hope that provides a little bit of motivation for those that are listening, but also if anything, it's time for us all to have a little bit of responsibility and do what we can to not overtax the system as it already is now. And so, yeah, I couldn't agree more. And hopefully this serves as a little bit of motivation for those that are on the fence.
Absolutely. For someone listening who may be feeling empowered, but already has maybe type 2 diabetes or is having trouble with movement or losing weight, you mentioned something in the beginning that, oh, there's an aha moment that these metabolic things can be reversible. What are like maybe three takeaways that you would give them that they could implement today?
I love this question because I actually think I'm going to just give a story. So one of the reasons I love doing this stuff and I'm addicted to platforms like this, doing podcasts and doing social media is that your reach and impact could be so much more than when I'm in ICU, I'm dealing with one-on-one. But when you can actually go on a pod, someone hears this, you're almost it's limitless how many people you could reach. And so I got a story just yesterday.
Okay.
A gentleman that was pre-diabetic and implemented just two or three things. So the first thing he did was increase his protein intake. So
Mm.
and with the principle of protein first. So when you got your whatever meal, we'll start with breakfast. You're having your breakfast first, and you have some toast, fruits, and some eggs or whatever your protein source is. Having the protein first, so that you're making sure you get all that protein in, and also the ability to reduce your blood sugar spikes, I think is important. What he did was focus on protein, which we could talk about later. He started to add some resistance training. So he started to do a little bit of workouts again to increase the lean muscle and simply increase his step count. He got motivated by some of the stuff we were saying, increase that step count by 25%. And he's down, he said 12 pounds. He's put on more muscle. His hemoglobin A1C is no longer pre-diabetic. And
Wow.
like that's just from listening. I don't know, or maybe he got it from the book. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
never talked to him about it or whatever. And
He
just
just listened or read your book and did
yeah,
those three things.
for me, one of the big tenets of our book is I only actually want you to focus on one or two things. I think that's enough for a lot of folks to move the needle. So for
Yeah.
me, the common ones that I say to people is the protein or increasing their step count depending on where they're at. And
Hmm.
in that scenario that you're describing, those would probably be the things that I would mention that aren't a huge lift, like because it's just modifying a bit of what's on your plate and starting there, because to me it's all about momentum. I don't know if you
Yeah.
find the same thing, but like it's about momentum and being engaged in the process and not feeling like it's an overwhelming change, and then
Yeah, it
building
can't be
from
all or
there.
nothing because then you won't change anything, right?
Exactly. And that's probably why I get most people to start. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I think aren't a big lift, but to me, nutrition has the biggest impact. And within that, amp up that protein for sure.
I'm just curious because I have 3 kids. I know you have 3 kids. Do you do that for them too? The
A
same, start
hundred
with
percent.
protein every meal?
If you so I got 13, 11, and 7. You ask
What? No, stop. That's my kids' ages.
seriously?
Yeah, 13, 11, and 7. I have girl, girl, boy. I know, I think you have 3
Okay.
boys.
Yeah, 3 boys. Yeah.
It's a busy time.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, that's crazy. If you asked any of them about the nutrition, they'll say the same thing. Protein first. And yeah, I mean, they're athletes too.
Yep.
And so because of busyness, energy, with especially raising boys, going to school focused, this is an important part for what they do, focusing on protein, for performance and recovery, focusing on protein.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, just being engaged. We just find the better kids overall
Yeah.
when their blood sugar is not going up and down like crazy. And like kids are going to be kids. They're going to have their candy. They're going to have their treats. But I think a lot of the roller coaster can be mitigated if they're having enough protein. And so in our house, we joke about it because Dad talks about it all the time. Enough of the protein. Yeah, I got enough protein today. Don't worry. I don't know about your kids, but my wife, who's a psychologist, always says like just model the behavior, and they'll
Yeah.
come around. And so my wife is the same way with
Mm-hmm.
nutrition and her movement and exercise. So the kids are not far behind.
I love that. And I think that's such a cool, I feel like the generation before was a bit like, okay, the adults are going to eat this, but the kids get that. And now it's just like, well, bring them along for the ride. Like we want to set them up for healthy adulthood too, right?
100%. And to be honest with you, it's still good food. Like what I mean?
Yeah.
The kids love what they eat. It's like, we do a lot of chicken thighs. We do a lot of ground beef. The oldest one is you tries to take dad's ribeyes, and I'm like, no, your ribeyes are for dad. But they'll get their steak and
The Wagyu's for dad.
the Wagyu's for dad. You know what I'm saying? And then we do. We have a supplement line that they'll ingest the protein powder
Oh, that's great.
as needed. It's a nice one for a couple of my boys aren't that hungry in the morning, so the protein shakes are a nice way of kind of making sure
Hmm.
they get enough nutrition because there's a bunch of stuff you could put in there, and so yeah, I mean, yeah, they're good kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually that's a great bridge here because I heard another episode of yours where you talked about boys. And I think this doesn't just apply to boys because I see it actually in a lot of my community of clients of women in their 40s and beyond is community. And that, with the advancement of technology, we are on our devices more, but it's not the same community or the same energy as being in a room with people or having a face-to-face conversation. Can you speak to that and how that applies to like the preventative health side?
Yeah, it's a great point that I don't think enough of us think about. I think for a lot of folks, if you look at those blue zone shows that everyone watches on Netflix, I actually think this is the magic sauce is the community piece. And not to always go back to the pandemic, but when we saw enough older population legit die of loneliness, it really emphasized that connection community is vital.
Yeah.
And I think we stepped a bit further away from that too when we weren't able to see each other and we were more focused on doing Zoom calls and seeing each other less. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think a lot of us, I encourage you guys just to even think about the times where we were forced to be isolated and then the times where we got to be together again and that feeling you had, that magic that when we were all together. I remember
Outside in the garage.
but I don't know. There's just like this amazing energy when you just wanted to be around people, and
Yes.
it felt so incredible. I did I think it was in Santa Monica. We went for a low carb or metabolic health conference. It
Mm-hmm.
was one of the first ones that we did after the main part of the pandemic, and
Yeah.
we were all so huggy. We were all just wanting to like. It was magical. It was like this
I
is
totally, yeah.
and so I think when you think about historically as humans, when we've been at our best, it's been with each other. And I mean, I think from your health perspective, mostly on the mental health side, I think this is where this is important. But this is an area where you could actually stack a lot of things. So if for me, I played hockey last night. That to me is where I get a lot of my community piece. You get
Okay.
that exercise, hang out with the guys. It's we call bad medicine. So they're docs too. So you could talk about the ups and downs of physician life. That's what, and I get a lot of fulfillment from that. If I
Yeah.
don't play for a while, I'm cranky. I'm not quite myself. So I think
Mm-hmm.
the community piece is more important than people think of it is. I personally, if I don't get enough of it, I feel it.
Yeah, and I can see your face just light up talking about your hockey.
Yeah.
It's like a you can't put your finger on it, but there's nothing like it. And I think it's just creating reaching out and finding people that are like-minded like you. Maybe, you sounds like you love hockey. I'm a runner. It's there's nothing like a good long run with my friend and catching up. It's
You could
magical.
you could speak while you run.
Oh yeah, that's called zone 2 training,
Oh
Dr.
my
K.
God. I I find I'm an all or nothing. Like I don't run, but
You just sprint.
exactly. But like even if I tried to find that zone two spot, that's basically like a brisk walk. I find running very challenging. But
That's funny. My husband used to be the same, and he was like a 5K max guy because he's a hockey player, or was. He played high level when he was younger. But over our 20 some years of marriage, he's run a half marathon, which is very cool.
wow. Wow. No, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it is. So I just wanted to go back to mindset actually a little bit. And we spoke a lot about protein and hitting the gym. And that helps with, preventing going to the ICU. And if you're in the ICU, helps you get out of it. What about the mindset piece? What do you see a lot, maybe with some of the metabolic or your chronic patients? What is something that is different with the mindset piece that maybe could help someone? How can they shift it? First, what's the difference between the two different patients? And then how can the patient with the metabolic help shift their mindset? Metabolic
Yeah,
disease.
I find that, and this is just generalizing, so I don't want everyone to say like, "Hey, we're all the same." But it's the common thread I often see is like there's that lack of agency. There's that lack of, "Hey, you know what? I can take control of my health." There's more of like an acceptance of this is my fate, and so this is why I'm very heavily trying to have that positive encouragement wherever I can and saying when especially when they've done something to in the right direction to improve their health, saying what
Yes.
like man, what you did there was amazing. We could do more of this. This is you on the right path. Well done. And just really try to encourage and be that uplifter, especially because with metabolic syndrome, when you're that inflamed, there's lack of motivation. There's a lot of mental health side of things too, like depression and anxiety as well, which you'll often see.
Yep.
Super medicated, like a laundry list of meds. What I see is like that lack of like they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They don't feel that sense of hope. And on the opposite end, the people that do really well they have that positive mindset. They're motivated to get up. They're motivated to push through. They see some of them even have a lens of gratitude. Like if they, especially on a
Mm,
positive day, they were like, "Man, I'm not where I'm at, but it was a good day. I got up. It was a good. It was." They see some positivity as
yep.
much as they can, and that gratitude. So I'd say that those are the differences, and the thing that themes that we've been saying, like all that is modifiable. We can work towards that. And I think one of the challenges in primary care is you often don't have time for this kind of approach. You only have your 12 minutes or 10 minutes with the patient. It's hard to
Hmm.
find that motivation and find that
Yeah.
sit with them and try and determine what can
Right.
what can move the needle. So
Right.
yeah, at a high level, it is challenging, but
Yeah.
we could get there.
But it sounds like though you only have those 12 minutes, you input some of that positivity, right? And I think
Mhm.
that's so important. It's not all just about do, the task, the task, right? It's also how do we help that person? And then hopefully that patient can talk to themselves that way and
Yeah.
stack on those wins and because they can't expect Dr. K to be there every moment they do something good, but to tell ourselves that, right? To feed that positivity to our body, and that loop keeps going.
And one of the high level solutions, if I had a magic wand, is anybody that wants to try and improve their current state. This is where the community piece also is helpful. I've seen a
Mm,
lot of magic happen when people can go to, they're part of a group where they have a similar lived experience or similar challenges. And within the group, they start to encourage them. Within the group, we create that positive mindset. So that's another magic sauce, I think, especially in
yeah.
a constrained system, that if you could have that group environment or community environment, amazing.
Yeah. And it's just about like if someone listening maybe is like, well, how do I find that? Well, you're probably scrolling social anyway. Just put yourself out there. Somebody's going to raise their hand to be like, "Me too." And then get together for a coffee chat or a walk or something, right?
100%. Like it, or just put into your AI thing, whatever you choose, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini, and say, "Hey, these are my interests.
Yeah.
What's going on in Ottawa that would be of similar, that would where I could find a group to do this similar interest or similar concern, and I can guarantee there's something out there."
Oh, that's true. That's a really good piece of advice there. All right, let's get a little personal. What do you do daily for your own health? What are your non-negotiables?
It's a good question. So for my own health, no, so non-negotiable. So one of the things that I learned this from what's his name? Shane Parrish. I'm a big fan of Knowledge Project, my favorite podcast, I would say. To make life easier, he says, I exercise every day. I don't debate it. It's just part of life.
His
And
identity. Hmm.
yeah, exactly, his identity. And I started doing this probably about a year and a half ago. And I love it. It's like it changes everything. It's not like, oh, I gotta do. There's less of a fight in terms of mentally. It's like, oh, it's just identity. I gotta do, even if it's 5 minute hit. I'm doing something. I do that because of habit formation, but also mental health side for just feel better, moving the
Hmm.
body on a daily basis. Could be like after hockey, I'm a little sore. I'm not going to lift today. I'll just I did a brisk walk taking my kid to school this morning. Like that's it. That's what exercise is going to look like today. But focusing on doing something daily.
Mm.
The other one is I'm pretty religious about intermittent fasting for myself. I won't have my
Okay.
first meal till noon. And I like it because I don't have to think about my intake as a result. Like as an active guy, my calorie consumption can range from 27 to 3,000 calories in a day. So then to do that in 2 meals is like I get to feast. And so I love that. I'd rather do that than if I had 3 meals. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just think about that portion. No, I just go to town
It
and
works for you. Hmm.
yeah, it works for me. So that's another one that I try and implement daily. And then the third one at the end of the night, which I keep telling myself I should probably do it at the beginning of the day, is like a gratitude practice. So I write down 3 things I'm grateful for that, and I try and make them as specific as possible.
Okay.
But and I feel like it just enhances my mood, sleep a little bit easier too. Just thinking about like today I'll even so far just walking Zeke to school, my third kid.
Oh.
He's talking about some ridiculous things and it makes dad laugh a bit, and so like to have that front of mind as you go to bed, I think is a good thing. But I think it would be more impactful to do it in the morning. I've been thinking about, but
Mm.
sometimes when you wake up, it's also
That's right. You're getting it in. And I love that you said being specific. Because sometimes it's really easy to be like, oh, just list off the three things you're grateful for. My house, my health, my family. But then
yeah.
it's like getting into the specifics, the senses, like you talking about walking with your son and laughing and his stories. Then your whole body can feel it, right?
I like that. Yeah, because I used to do it as you described, and
Yep.
I'm like, this is useless. And
Yeah.
then what I
Same. I was the
yeah
same.
yeah, and what I noticed was when you would take the time to think about it more, you'd actually
Mm,
start thinking about your day more,
that's
and then
right.
you would start spotting like, oh, actually, this was a good part of the day too.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the specificity helps for sure.
Absolutely. And it ties back to that the positive mindset. We're not talking about toxic positivity, but we're just, taking those little wins from the day do stack, but we have to be aware and notice them. And then it
100%.
actually helps us be healthier, right?
100%. I mean, I'll just say this. I've seen the detrimental impacts of stress on in the ICU, in my real life, on folks that are close to us, and stress, I truly believe, is a killer. So anything that you can do to mitigate that and feel better about yourself and feel better about life, I think it should be taken seriously. Because yeah, it's definitely stress has in my humble opinion, has a pretty impactful impact on your health and your
Yeah.
wellness.
Dr. K, what is a health myth you wish would disappear?
Well, that's a good question. Let me think about this. Health myth. Actually, this came up on my feed. I don't know if this is number one, but it came up on my feed the other day or yesterday, and I was like, hell yeah. There's all this like people worry about doing resistance training because they'll feel look too bulky and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think the risk of you looking bulky, too bulky from like is like that's hard to do for most people. Okay, most people
I'm
can't do.
laughing because of his expression. It's priceless right
Yeah,
now.
like like give me a break. And then I should just emphasize the magic of resistance training. You put on more muscle. By doing that, you increase your basal metabolic rate. So you burn more calories the more lean muscle you put on.
Hmm.
Your blood sugar loves muscle, so you have more stability in
Your
your
joints love it too. Less
joints
joint
love it.
sprain. Hmm.
And as I mentioned, as an ICU doc, I see people like it's actually hard to die, but what we see people die from essentially is frailty. And so if you could
Okay.
avoid being frail
Yeah.
and bank on that muscle, you're winning. So when I hear people say they're too scared, they don't want to look too bulky, but and that's why they don't want to push weight. That's a primary myth from my perspective.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
What's something people overcomplicate when it comes to their health?
I feel like everything is like one of my biggest pet peeves is when people will start to do these biohacking things when they don't even have the fundamentals right. They
Yeah, I love that you brought
oh,
that up.
it's like, oh, I got an ice bath at 37 degrees, not 42 degrees, so that I could get optimal anti-inflammatory effects. Where's my red light? I got to get a red light at 90 degrees for my face, so I'm feeling good about like all these kind of biohacking stuff. They worry about it and they don't eat right yet, and or they don't
Mm,
exercise, and that to me is a pet peeve because not to be too repetitive, but to get to a healthy existence, it's not complicated. It's not
mm,
always easy, but it's not complicated. And
yeah,
so I think, especially a lot of us are attached to our phones and social media. They see these things. I get a
yeah,
lot of questions on a lot of these biohacking stuff. And my anthem is quite often like, don't worry about that. Push your weight, focus on
yeah,
protein, move your body,
yeah.
make sure you're recovering and
The
sleeping well.
basics, the free basics,
The
right?
free
I think
basics.
there is, and back in the 80s, it would have been some crazy diet. 90s was probably, what was that doctor that did keto? Anyways,
Oh, Atkins.
we're all looking for a quick fix because it's the easier way, but it's actually very simple. Maybe it's not easy, but like to your point, it's simple. It's the foundation.
100%.
So, last question for you, and I know you're a busy guy, so I'm going to let you go soon. But if someone listening is like, well, I feel fine, because that's an answer a lot that I hear, and I'm sure you hear, I'm fine, things are fine, and that they don't need to think about their health yet, what would you say to that someone?
I'd say to them, I hope this doesn't come across too sassy, but
Sass it away.
like like you could tell yourself what you want, but we gotta live in the real world here. And
Mm,
as you're aging, as you look at your life, that's what I'm saying. Look at your life, look who is dependent on you, look at how what the future could look like. And imagine that being compromised because of the way you eat, lack of activity, all these things. So you could feel like things are okay, but ask yourself, are they truly okay? Are
mm,
you metabolically optimized? Do you have 10 or 15 pounds that you should be losing? And it's not about body image, it's about your goals. If it's you want to be able to play with your grandkids, you want to be energetic when they're around, you want to be able to travel, you want to be able to see all the sights when you're doing all these things. If that's your goal, then you should ask yourself, are you setting yourself up for this? And I'll tell you, in my line of work, I constantly see people with regrets in life.
mm,
Constant.
mm,
I shouldn't have worked so hard. I should have seen the doctor sooner. I should have taken my own health more seriously and been more active and all these things. So there's nothing worse than looking at you in retrospect and saying to yourself, I could have done more. And without your health, nothing matters.
Yeah.
Like you could have all these aspirations to whether it's travel, career, all these stuff that the second you get that call that you got to have that surgery or you got that diagnosis, everything changes. So as somebody that does this for a living, to see that and having to tell people on a regular basis, your loved one's not going to survive. Your loved one, this is going to be a terminal condition. If you could have that power to take control of your health, why wouldn't you? And I know it's not easy, and I know it comes off a little harsh, but you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, and you will feel better. Everything gets better as a result of you focusing on your health. So
Yeah.
I hope that helps. And
It does.
yeah, I know there's a lot of people that are struggling, but the other part of this is you can do it. You really
Yeah.
can do it. And this is why we're on the platform like this.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so good. This conversation has been just so fun, so great, so many golden nuggets. Where can people find you? I know you have a podcast called Quadcast, right? Quadcast?
Yeah, we call it the Quadcast, and it's also the same. The formal title is Prevention Over Prescription, similar to the
Okay.
book.
I think that's just the Instagram title, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a
And
new book coming out. Tell us what that one's called.
I got to figure out a title. So, but
Oh, exciting. Okay.
yeah, maybe if you guys could throw it down in the chat or like, message me what you think. But the theme is like, how do we solve our current healthcare crisis? And
Okay.
so it's a lot on, there's a lens of prevention, obviously, but it's leveraging AI.
Okay.
Do we need to allow element of private healthcare? All these kind of things to say like, hey, how do we
Okay.
get ahead of this curve that is coming? So I need a title still, but the book is written though.
Exciting. Well, I'll make sure that I drop your links in the show notes so people can find you. And is there a way for people to work with you, or is it the information you have online and then hopefully nobody sees you in the ICU?
Yes, that's a good question. So this is evolving. So a few things. So find me on any social handle, Kwadcast, KWADCAST, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever. To our website is drkwadwo.ca, where it has all our info, all our links, books, podcasts, and also how we work with folks. Like, so I'm doing a lot of coaching and metabolic stuff with through MindStride. I joined as a chief medical officer over there, so there'll be links on our main website there. And I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, our supplement line's also on there, guidenutrition.com, or just go to drkwadwo.ca for that. And that is everything.
Sounds like you are on all the platforms. I'll make sure I drop all those links in the show notes. Thank you again so much for having this conversation with me, taking time out of, I know you're a very busy guy. So I'm really grateful to have had this opportunity with you.
Thanks for having me. This is great what you're doing. The message, the fact that you're an inspiration online, focusing on preventative health. We need more on our side. So thanks for all the incredible work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in to the Move with Ease podcast. If today's episode resonated, share it with a friend who could use this message, or take a minute to rate and review the show. It really helps other moms find it too. For more tools and inspiration to help you move, run, live with more ease, connect with me on Instagram at Tatianagram Inc. or grab my free guide in the show notes. Until next time, keep moving with intention and keep practicing tuning into your body. Remember, you're not broken. Every step, no matter how small, means you're banking your health to become stronger in your future. See you next time.